G'day everybody. I want to talk about education and self-education. When it comes to education, the schools, public schools, they all do the same curriculum. They have a way of teaching everyone the same thing, right? In the same way. And then private schools have their way of teaching everyone the same thing in the same way. But when it comes to teaching, you can't teach everybody the same way. They don't learn it the same way. They don't get it the same way. Some get it better than others as they succeed and get bigger test results as they get it. Right? And it's usually the most, I guess. Right? But not that we've heard these days. A lot of people are behind. And we have tutors that can come in and help if we're lucky enough for certain people that are usually more lower. So if you're a person that's not really dumb, right, not struggling a lot, should I say, and you just struggle a bit in these sections, then you don't get to get on the special treatment. You go along with the normals. That's how they treat it. Well, they did back in my day. And so you have to get your own tutor after school, or you just work a little harder, I guess. But if you can't get it, what's the point of working harder at something you don't get? That's what I thought when they tried to give me extra homework and stuff. And I'll be like, well, now I'm here by myself, can't even ask questions. Most parents are busy most of the time. Sometimes it worked out, and a lot of times it didn't. As parents are busy, so the school passes the problem to the parents. The parents already got jobs, they're coming home, they're already cooking and doing other things, and yet they want them to spend another couple of hours of the few hours you only get after work. Their kid, they can't do it. And so the parent has to try to get a tutor, and if they can't get a tutor, then you've got a problem with the kid not learning properly, just getting by. Hopefully they've learned other things that make them get through those things, like I did. But when I found, when it comes to learning things, definitely reading, it was best to self-educate. The computer helped me to learn. That's what I started teaching myself. On the computer to read, what I need to read to do. And even games can, because you need to read certain games, certain things. And so that helped. And when I left school, I started, tried a bit of work myself and here and there and all that kind of stuff, finding your way and all the other things I've talked about. But when it comes to learning, I found that I learn better when I look for what I want to learn. Because you learn better when you want to learn something. When you're at school, they're trying to teach you and you don't want to learn. Right? And because you can't learn. And you ask questions and they're saying no, and all the rest of the problems you get when you're at school, and then when you're a kid you get an attitude, and then now your attitude's causing problems and so on. All caused by, I don't get it, sir. I need better help, sir. I need another way of doing things, sir. And they'll just say, oh, you should be able to do it, why can't you do what everyone else is doing? Right? Maybe you need extra help, right? But then if you go to the special people, it's too low. No, I don't need that much help. And so you have to learn yourself. You're better off learning yourself. This is what I started doing. Self-teaching. And so if you can't read or write properly, to self-teach, you just watch things. You watch docos. As long as you've got a good memory too. And most people have memory. That's how we learn. And my memory's fine. And so I can watch and learn. It was a good way of learning. And then over time, and watching and learning, you find what you like and what becomes you as you self-teach. You find what makes you happy. If you're not happy and you learn that, you try something and you go, hang on, that's just, I'm not having fun, I'm getting bored, or this is a bit hard. It's not naturally me, it's extremely hard, definitely ain't. So why am I working at this? Isn't important, and so on. And so you try to learn something else. Anyway, I thought I'd chuck out that when it comes to self-learning and schooling, because a lot of people say, oh, you left school early, how could you know things? Well, if I left school and just went to work and pushed the same button and did the same thing at work, then I wouldn't be too far from knowing anything. You're right, and I watch the news, and I know how to go to the park and to the pub and stuff like that. You're not learning anything extra from school, are you? Except getting around. And then you might even have a kid and you learn parenting and what parenting's like. But you're not more educated, like they try to teach you extra stuff at school or at college. But you can do it yourself. And as I was sick a lot, I went through a lot of problems and babysitted a lot and helped people a lot. During those times, I watched docos instead of movies. So I watched movies, but I got most of them out in the younger years and teenage years. And the time I hit my mid-20s, I decided to go just docos. In the last 10, 15 years, if anyone seen me watching TV most of the time, it was always usually a doco of some sort. And over time, I even watched these docos several times until I'm like, yeah, I definitely know that doco, yeah. And I got bored of watching docos a few years back now. That's why I started getting into spirituality and other things that I've seen but ignored because there was problems. And then after all this education, I decided, and seeing some of these docos a lot as well, decided to go back through it and see what I can do and say and figure out together. But when people don't talk to you, you can't solve that, can you? In the last 3 years, I barely had any conversations or anything I've been doing, except attack locally, of course. And so when it comes to schooling, you're as smart as what you want to be and how much education you do. So every day are you learning something, or every day are you repeating? Means you do the same thing that you mostly do. Is you're learning something, is in learning a lot of things within an hour or two of learning lots of things? Or is you're learning something, I just found out a butterfly can be purple. If it's slow like that, well, you can find that out and a lot of other things within an hour doco. So at that rate, you just found out it's going to take you a year to get a year doco, you see, 1 hour doco of education, for real, as you're just doing your repeat cycle, which we all do. And then in your spare time, you're talking to people and all that kind of thing. But it's not education. And the education you might be getting, which everyone talks and everyone's absorbing, is there was a tragedy down the road. I had a hard day at school today. If you're a parent, work had a little bit of a tragedy. It was a bit of a pain in the ass. We worked extra harder. That's what you're learning. And so you have that constantly similar. Or what happened at work? Oh, similar thing, repeat. And when you do that, you're not educating. You're just repeating. You're just staying still as a brain. If you want to educate yourself, you can do all that and then just watch some docos. Watch something that you're interested in. Watch something that you might want to do if it didn't work. Something that you might want to start doing when you finish work. Things like that. Something that you might want to talk about with your friends because you're getting bored at work. And that can happen instead of talking about work. And then you get more education. And the more education you get, all of a sudden you can put all that together and then you start getting these other things popping in your head and you go, oh, I can see now, that. And not one doco can tell you all this when you start getting clarity on things in life because of all the education you put together. Helps you. And then you find out, what sector should I go with this education? Do I know a lot of this? I watched all these docos and just this doco. Then I might be just good at that, or these two things. Or I've been watching a lot of them and I'm still choosing which way I want to stick to and really get into. Anyway, have a good one, everybody. So when it comes to school and study, sometimes self-study is better than school. Depends on if you've got a private tutor or a private teacher that comes to you, they'll be the best. But when it comes to school, they're only going to teach you what everyone knows. It's not going to teach you who you are. It's just going to teach you what everyone gets to know, and you get to know the same thing and go out in life. Which most of it there is, what is it, math and English and a bit of history. Their history they want to teach you. And that. Anyway, have a good one. And then you get to high school, you start to find out you do metalwork and woodwork and all that kind of stuff. But everyone does it. And then when you leave, after just doing those basic things everyone does, and you only do a little bit of it, you go find out where you fit and work. But a lot of people realise after a little while, like I did, I worked for a little bit off and on here and there and when I could and all that kind of thing, you realise a lot of things you won't know until you're older. And then you go, hang on, I might do something else that would be more me. And I've already been doing all this. While I've been doing this, I watched a lot of docos. Maybe I might get into that a little bit more, which I did for a while and I stuck to it for years. I even got to a point where I liked it. Used to say at work, "Well, I'm going to finish up work and go home and watch doco. There's a doco I wanted to see." Imagine saying that. I used to say that. Well, you going quick? You in a rush to go somewhere? Yeah, this cool ass doco only happened a couple of times. And then I get to a point where I don't want to watch doco now. I've seen them all, pretty much. And the new doco is pretty much like old docos with an extra 5 minutes. You'll find a lot of docos are like that when it comes to World War. They're mostly the same, like news, but no, they have an extra 5 minutes or 20 minutes. They go, "Oh, new theory," and then it's all the same crap. They repeat it all in the show, and then right at the end or in the middle of it, they might give you this 5-10 minute extra. That's how it works. Anyway, have a good one, and keep up with your education. And if you're happy, when you're happy, you don't need to educate. But there'll be moments where things can go wrong, and then you might regret it. So instead of just repeating, maybe just watch something that's educational. Have a good one, and bye-bye.